My topic, as you know, today is my topic today is empowering you, the youth. So I look at empowerment in two aspects. One is the internal side of it, and one is the external. And I do believe that the internal plays a majority role in getting you empowered. I'm going to tell you a few stories in my life and how that changed the way I think about things. So when I was your age, I was big into sports. I used to play every sport that was there. I was the average sports person but loved every sport. My doctor said you need to have spectacles, right? And I was like, how will I play sports in spectacles? Nowadays you have a lot of ways to do that. In those days there was nothing. So what did I do? On the way back in the bus, I actually in the afternoon threw the spectacles out of the bus. Reached home, my mom said, where are your spectacles? I was like, I lost them. So she got me another pair. What did I do? Next day did the same thing. In the morning I threw them out of the bus. The third day she's like, where are your spectacles? I said, I've lost them. She said, you have no more spectacles. So that's it. I've never worn spectacles since. At the same time, my doctors told me, because I used to get a lot of pain in my feet, they said, you've got completely flat foot. Like the tiles here, you're absolutely flat and you need to wear some insoles and some kind of, or do surgery because if you want to be sports, or you cannot play sports in your life, right? There's no way you can play any sport. I said, okay. One day I tried it, second day I tried it. Guess what? It had the same impact of the spectacles. They were out of into the dustbin. Subsequently, I represented my school, my college in football, in athletics, represented Maharashtra State in 100 meters run. So, a lot of no's, and to beat it all, I was very fortunate to have represented India in rugby. So I played for Bombay Gymkhana in international rugby tournaments. So I felt like, okay, those guys were telling me a lot of no's, but I didn't take no for an answer. Well, they did my scans. I couldn't sit up, so they said something's wrong with you. They did the scans and found that I had 3 slip discs, which means that's the end of your sporting career. That's it. You're done. I had so much pain. They tried every treatment on me. They took me to, I've been in and out of hospitals for two years. We did heat and pressure and vacuum treatment, which is done on Steffi Graf and Boris Becker. Tried traction at Bombay Hospital where they pulled your spine, and I remember those days vividly. I was crying for 5 days as loud as I could the entire night because my spine was getting pulled apart. Ayurveda, physiotherapy, every treatment. Then they said, no, only surgery, endoscopic surgery can cure your back because you want to get back to sports. Now, in those days, it wasn't as good as today. So there are 2 options. You'll get cured or you'll get paralytic. Now, I was like, that odds doesn't look too good to me. So let's not do surgery. So how did I heal myself? I healed myself through my mind. I would get angry when the pain would come. And so then the pain actually kept coming, which means I used to go to work, lie down on the floor, and I couldn't sit for 5 minutes. That excruciating pain. So I used to figure out a way, mind over body, cure the pain by getting angry at it. So it would be resisting me for a week, then it stopped resisting 1 month, then 3 months, then 6 months. 3 years later, I had no pain. Then I got ambitious, and as you heard, I said, let me go and climb Kilimanjaro because I love mountaineering. I was doing very well, prepared myself, went on to first camp. In that first camp, I was kicking it, right? I was right ahead of the group. When we were going to the second camp, my speed started going down. My knees gave way. So the only way I could walk was with crutches. So I walked up to second camp through crutches very late. So I reached 2.5 hours later than all my colleagues. I had diarrhea, so I was dehydrated. It was minus 20 degrees cold. This is 20,000 feet. Very, very torturous. I somehow managed to make it. My ears were throbbing because as you go up, you get symptoms which are for high altitude. So I was not in the right place. Called up and I said, that's it. That's my end of Kilimanjaro. We had to start the summit at 12 midnight. with our our lights which we had to put in, the night lights. And so my team said, no, you're not doing the summit. So I said, let me just go a few steps, and if I can go there, maybe I can do it. So they said, okay. So the first hour at 1 a.m., I was perfectly fine. I was fit. I was ahead of the group. And all of this time, I was walking with crutches. So you have to put in 2 times the effort because you're literally dragging yourself up the mountain. I did that for a period of an hour, and then I started slowing down the team. And when you have to beat such a summit, right, at 20,000 feet, you have just a 1 hour window, sometimes half an hour window that you have to go there and come back. So I was slowing down my entire team, and they said, not happening. I was dead tired, wind chill. I started getting dizzy. I was like, swaying, and I'm like, what's happening to me? I'd lost control of consciousness. A colleague of mine saw this. He actually held me down, pushed me down, slapped me 2 times, shoved a chocolate in my mouth, and said, now you have to go back. That's it. You cannot, you're in no state to go back. So they left a guide with me, and they carried on. For 20 minutes, I just kept thinking, okay, can I do something? Okay, then I told the guy, let me get one more step, just one. He said, no, you are in no shape to go up. I said, okay. So I had to bribe him some really nice US dollars to get him to allow me to go those few steps. It was 6 in the morning. I was 1 hour short of the summit. My team had already summited. They were on the way back, and they looked at me and said, absolutely crazy guy, what's wrong with you? You should not be here. Anyway, I said, 1 step at a time. I summited, and my knees were just in absolute pain. I was popping painkillers. And so while I was coming down to the base camp, I had to wear, literally I couldn't even walk. So I was rolling down wherever there was possibility, because you're talking of a peak at 20,000. Where I couldn't, I would sit down and make it on my backside slowly. So everybody probably reached base camp at around 3 p.m. I reached at 7 p.m. Right? That was my journey. Now, why am I telling you all these 4 stories? There's one common theme. Everybody in your life is going to tell you, this is not possible. The doctor who said, without spectacles, you can't work. The guy who said, you can't do any sport, another doctor. The third doctor told me, you're gone. No sports in your life because of your slip disc. I, by the way, played rugby last year, and I played football 4 days ago. I did Kilimanjaro, reached the top. So in life, a lot of people are going to tell you, no. I'm going to tell you one simple philosophy. If you really want to be empowered, is that feeling inside you which says, never give in, right? Never quit. Because a winner never quits, and a quitter never wins. They take the easy path. So that is the internal side, which nobody can teach you. It has to come from inside. What about the external? So at Universal Business School, I had a privileged career. I traveled to 50 countries I did business in. I lived in London, New York, and Hong Kong. And I saw the world, and I was so grateful to the Lord that at 32 years, I was a global CEO. And I said, how can we do that experiment that the moment you get out of your 12th standard, right? How in 6 months can I make you into a vice president? That was my challenge, I said to myself. And within 6 months more, you become a CEO of a private limited company. Now, how many of you think you can become a CEO in 6 months' time or 12 months' time? Right? It takes 10 years. It takes 15 years of going up the corporate to get to that top. So we did this experiment in our school. In 6 months, you become managing a team of 15 people. You run a profit and loss. If you're smart, you become a CEO in less than a year, where you're running 100 employees. You're running a team of 100 employees. You're managing the balance sheet. You're managing the board. You sit on board meetings. And this is when you're just 17 or 18. Imagine the joy in your parents' mind when you go with a CEO card to them and say, I'm a CEO of a private limited company. You do the balance sheet. You declare the dividends. You sign on the balance sheet. And that's what we call empowering the youth. Because at that age, if I can give you that responsibility, I am dead certain you're going to be empowered for life. Thank you.